In this week's video, we are going to talk about 5 tips to setting meaningful KPIs and learning the importance of having these KPIs in your business and how it's going to help you achieve your goals. G'day, I'm Ben Futrell, co-founder of Max My Profit, and we are all about helping you build the business that you imagined. And today, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to talk about KPIs or key performance indicators. It's something that I think a lot of business owners struggle with. And I'm going to give you 5 tips on how to set meaningful KPIs. Plus, I'm going to share a little resource or a couple of resources with you where you can go and get some checklists and some additional resources to help you set KPIs in your business that I've found have been helpful for clients over the years as I've coached them. So let me dive into my notes here. So the first thing, if you're not sure what a KPI is, it's a key performance indicator. And the way to think about it is a bit like the dashboard in your car. So if you think about your car, if you're driving along and the dashboard was to stop, so you couldn't see speed anymore or fuel or any of the other information, you'd probably feel a little bit uncomfortable. Yet I see so many business owners that don't have the dashboard in their business operating, yet they seem to be comfortably just cruising along. And the problem with that is that you're not actually in full control of your business because you don't have the dashboard working. And so you can't really tell how fast you're going or when you're going to run out of fuel or if there's any other problems, warning lights, etc. And so what setting up a KPI dashboard for your business does is exactly the same as what a dashboard in your car does for you. It gives you information. Now, you don't always need the information. You might look at it and everything's okay, and so you can just keep driving. And that's pretty much, a good analogy when you think about driving your car. However, there are times you'll look at the information and you'll see an issue. Maybe you're getting low on fuel and you need to go to the fuel station and get some more fuel. Or maybe you haven't noticed and the fuel light came on and now you go. Maybe you look down at your speed and you realize you're not going fast enough or you're going too fast. So you adjust your speed. Maybe, a warning light comes on in your workout that your car is overheating. So sometimes your key performance indicators will tell you when something is wrong and enable you to take action before that problem becomes a much bigger problem. Now, if we look at the analogy of a car, let's say that your dashboard wasn't working, your car overheated, that can cause pretty catastrophic engine failure. So it can cost you a lot of money if you don't get that sorted. So the same thing applies to your business. You really need to think about in your business, what are you, looking at on a regular basis that is going to give you the feedback you need to be able to make much better management decisions when it comes to managing a business on a day by day, week by week, month by month sort of basis. And so this is really what we're looking at setting up. So the first thing is to set up what I call a high level snapshot. So you don't want to do paralysis by analysis. You don't need a 1,500 line spreadsheet to set KPIs. Really what you want is some really high level sort of things that are important to your business. So think about the things that you need to see to know whether or not you're heading in the right direction. It could be things like number of leads we've generated. It might be number of sales appointments we've conducted. It might be things like and the sales that we've got. Depending on the industry, it could be throughput. It could be, how many widgets have we made in the factory today or this month? How many orders have we received? So it's up to you to decide, but choose some really high level sort of things that allow you then to investigate further if you need to. And I'll go back to the car analogy. If the the warning light comes on for the temperature, let's say the temperature's got really hot in your car, that doesn't tell you what's wrong. It just tells you that there is a problem because of something that's wrong. So it doesn't tell you what the cause is. It tells you that there is a symptom. And so your KPIs should give you that warning to go, there's a problem. That's sort of, so my first tip is to make sure it's a real high level snapshot. The thing you got to think about is if you were not in your business, if you weren't there every day, let's say you were on a beautiful, island in the Pacific, sipping margaritas by the pool, and every Monday you got delivered a one piece of paper that had enough information on it for you to know whether or not everything was on track. That's what you want, right? You want that one piece of paper. That's your high level snapshot that you can look at on a weekly basis. The second thing then is then you need to make sure you're looking at critical numbers, not airy-fairy numbers that actually don't mean much to your business. You want to look at the critical things. So what are the keys to your business, right? So you've got to decide what are the keys. And when I talk about the keys, I'm talking about those things that matter most, that are going to have the biggest impact. So you might think that sales is the key, but sales is actually an outcome of conversion rate or leads generated, or the performance of your sales team. So you want to make sure you're measuring things that matter towards your end goal. So if sales are one of the things that you've decided is on your snapshot, then you want to measure the things that lead to that. So how many quotes did we do? How many sales meetings did we conduct? Or how many people came into the shop, or whatever it might be, and how much traffic did we get to our online store? So it allows you to measure those key things in a way that is going to mean something to you. You don't want the airy fairy. You don't want things that aren't actually going to help you make decisions, because if they're not critical, you're not going to want to measure them anyway. You're going to lose track and sort of get bored with those pretty quickly. On that note, my third tip is make sure your KPIs are easy to measure. If you've got things that are complicated to collate each week or each day, it's going to be less likely that you're going to get that information to you. If a team member's got to do it, or less likely you're going to do that report if you've got to do it, right? So if it's difficult information to collate, it's probably going to not get done on a consistent basis. And that's probably one of the biggest issues I see people when it comes to setting KPIs is they'll set KPIs based on things they think they need to know. And they're probably important things, but they're things that are difficult to measure. And so what it leads to is that if there's a lot of work involved with collecting the data, you're less likely to do it because it's never fun, right? It's never fun collecting data to look at a report. So you want to make sure it's easy. And so it could be complex data, but you want to automate it. So make it so the information is delivered to you in an automatic way. It could be through an online piece of software. It could be through a spreadsheet that you build or have someone else build. But you want to make sure that your KPIs are really easy to measure. The other thing that is important to understand with KPIs is that don't need to be precise. Now you're probably thinking, geez, why not? My fuel gauge is, precise. Well, it's not actually. Others, your speedo in your car. They just need to be consistently measured, right? So a lot of people get hung up on how do I measure my conversion rate if we get a lead today and we don't convert the sale for 3 months. Well, you're just going to have to take an average. It doesn't really matter. What you want to know is your conversion rate heading in the right direction? So a conversion rate is something that you want to increase, because the higher it is, the more customers you're converting, the lower your acquisition cost is per customer, and the more money you've got to spend back on your marketing to grow your business, right? So it doesn't really matter what the conversion rate is. Of course, now I say that, but you don't want your conversion rate to be really low, but it doesn't really matter what the number itself is. What matters is, are you achieving the average and is it going up? They're really the two things you need to know. So don't get too hung up on how precisely you get to measure it, because there are certain things in your business that will be very difficult to measure. And so, difficult to measure precisely. So, for example, a lot of people I say, average spend value is very important KPI in a lot of businesses, I think in most businesses. But it can be quite awkward to really ascertain what that average is. And they go, but some people spend a lot and some people spend a little. Well, that's why it's called an average. We just want an average. And if your strategy is to sell more higher priced goods and services because you make more money out of it, then that average should be going up. And there are cases though when the average sale value can go down. And a classic example, I worked many years ago with a chain of chemists, with pharmacies, and we wanted the average sale value to go down because we were brand switching. We were brand switching to a product that had a higher profit, but was less of an investment for the customer. So we're actually helping the customer by brand switching, selling them a cheaper product. And you would have had this happen to you. Most pharmacies do this now. And they say, would you like the generic brand? It's exactly the same, but it's cheaper. Now, the pharmacist makes more money out of that and you actually pay less. So it's a win-win. But so there are instances where the KPI might be, you want it to reduce. So just make sure you're measuring it consistently. So if you have a methodology for measuring a particular KPI, just make sure that you stick to that method consistently, and that'll make sure you get the best possible results, from this report that you're going to receive every week. The fourth tip that I've got is that your KPIs need to be meaningful. Now, I'm probably sort of repeating myself because I did say something similar to this before. But I want to make sure that when you look at your report, they're things that mean something to you. I'm giving you ideas of what you could measure, but it's no good writing down or creating a report based on what I like to measure because it might not be meaningful to you. And a big danger is you might go to your accountant and say, I'm trying to track KPIs in my business. And your accountant will give you some KPIs that just aren't meaningful. I remember, in the beginning of my business coaching journey, doing a course that was in regards to um, KPIs, and that they were giving me all sorts of ratios to measure within my business, and it was really quite awkward. It was quite difficult to get some of these ratios and understand. That was very jargony, and it was very obvious that these were created by an accountant. And as a business owner, small business owner, these numbers were like, they were important. Things like, debtor days outstanding, very important. But the way that the ratio was built was done in an accounting term. And someone who's got an economics degree, they've gone to university and they've learnt economics, business economics, is going to have all of these different ways of gathering data that is complex, because that's the nature of that beast. So be very careful when you're getting help from someone like an accountant, because it'll be very difficult for you to be able to understand some of what they're saying. And that means you'll lose interest very quickly. And what you want to do is you want to make sure these are meaningful to you. And that means that you'll use this report as a tool to help you manage and grow your business moving forward and identify when things are going off track. Planning Plus software, thank you. They say find out the critical KPIs for your business and learn how to listen to what they are saying. Great info, Ben. Thank you, Planning Plus, for tuning in and commenting. So it is so true. Critical KPIs are so important. All right. My fifth tip is quite a simple one: is make sure you get a weekly report. Too many people. You should be able to measure them daily. If you think about when you're driving into a car, and take notice, right? Next time you drive your car somewhere, how often you glance down at the dashboard to check your speed. You probably won't check your fuel as often, but you will check it. You don't want to wait until you run out of fuel to sort of to know that you run out of fuel, right? You want to know that it's coming up so you can start to plan. And you will, right? If you can see that your fuel is below quarter of a tank, you will start to think about where the next petrol station is, the next service station or gas station, depending where you are in the world. And you'll start to think about where that is, because you need to plan, okay, in my journey, when am I going to stop? You might even look at, a lot of cars these days have a computer that tells you how many kilometers roughly you've got left. And so you start to do some planning. And the same thing applies in a business. If you are looking at your KPI report on a weekly basis at a minimum, it'll tell you when things that are going to happen are in the future. So, for example, part of your KPI might be cash flow, and you might have a cash flow forecasting tool that you use, and it tells you that within the next 90 days, you're going to have a cash flow issue. This allows you now to fix that, either increase some sales, maybe collect some money, maybe go and borrow some money, put some money in yourself out of your mortgage, whatever it might be, right? So it allows you to pre-plan before you run out of money. By having that KPI. So you should be looking at it on a weekly basis rather than just every now and then, or when you feel like things might be going wrong, and make this a habit. So every Monday, for example, look at your KPI report and see, how are we tracking? Because you can also set goals in your plan as to what you want to achieve, and your KPIs will allow you to see how you're sort of tracking towards those goals. All right. So that's my 5 tips for, setting meaningful KPIs in your business and using those. I promised you that I was going to share a resource with you. Now, I've got no affiliation with this guy that I'm about to share with you. And in fact, he's a business coach himself. I believe he's in the UK. And a lot of coaches write books because they've got lots of knowledge, and it's probably the best way for them to get out there. I'm just a real lazy coach. Haven't written a book. I've written in plenty of books, but haven't written my own book yet. I guess I have, but it's our online Business Academy hub. There's over 1,000 resources in there. Could probably put it into a book, but boy, oh boy, I don't think I have the headspace to do that. So I'm going to share with you another coach's book. His name is Bernie Smith. And you can find his books on the Amazon store and Kindle. I think I don't know if you can get them as audio books, but they don't work so well as audio books. So they're great to actually get the book itself, if you can find the actual book. But you can get it on it as a Kindle book as well. It does say he's got an audio book. So I'm going to share my screen with you real quickly because I'm on Amazon. And we'll share a link to this as well. So you can sort of go and check this out as easy as possible. So this is Bernie Smith's KPI checklist. So if you've ever wondered about what KPIs you should be tracking, now I actually think he goes too in depth, right? Too many things, and you'll end up with too much information. You'll get overwhelmed. But it's a good place to get ideas from. So if you're stuck when it comes to choosing your what to track. He's got this book with 50 templates of 50 checklists included in it called the KPI checklist books. It's $10 on Kindle, right? It's a no-brainer. You can also get the paperback from $9.44. That might be US dollars. I think I'm on the US store. So yeah, probably is. He's also got another book. If I click on his profile, once you're in Amazon, you can sort of do the same thing. Come on, Bernie. Where's Bernie? Here we go. Bring up his page. There we go. You can see that he's got all these individual books for each individual industry. Manufacturing, sales and marketing, customer service, procurement. Like he's just got heaps and heaps of resources. So, once you're on there, you can have a look through and decide. And they're like $5 each. So, whatever industry you're in, you might find one of those that will be helpful. And like I said, Bernie looks like a nice guy. I don't know him, never met him, never spoken to him. He doesn't even know that I recommend his book or have used it with clients in the past. So there you go. But nice, helpful resource. We've put a link down in the comments for you, so you can go and click directly through to that book and have a look, and see for yourself if it's something that will help you. I mean, for such a small investment, if it gives you a bit of a head start and gives you some ideas as to what KPIs you want to set in your business, then it's $10 well spent. All righty. Well, if you found that helpful, please let me know in the comments if you've watched this, whether you've watched it live or recorded. Always good to get your feedback if you found this type of content helpful. And of course, you can give it the thumbs up or hit the love button, depending whether you're watching this on Facebook or on YouTube, wherever you might be. We always do appreciate the love that you give us back when we put these out. It takes us a fair bit of work, obviously, to prep and put these together. And then, of course, to make sure that they're there for you to enjoy after the fact. And so we want to make sure we're doing stuff that you are enjoying. So please give us that feedback. On a final note, if you want help in your business, let's say you are, on a growth path, and typically, an ideal member for our Max Business Academy is somebody who has been in business for a little while. You're really good at what you do. You've got a good product, good service. The business relies a little bit too much on you right now, day to day, and you're looking for a way to have somebody help you implement the systems and processes and get your mindset right around being a business owner rather than self-employed. That's what our Business Academy is great at. So the Max Business Academy is a 12-month program where we take you through a 5-step process of helping you to structure your business for growth, including setting and managing your KPIs and a whole lot more as well. If that's something that is interesting to you, then I'm going to invite you to have a discovery call with myself to see whether or not it is a good fit for you. Our programs aren't for everyone, and a very quick call will establish whether or not it's something that could be of benefit to you. So we'll put a link down in the chat box as well in the comments, where you can click on that link and you're able to choose a time in my diary for a 15-minute discovery call. And within 15 minutes, we'll both know whether or not there's a good fit. If there is, if I feel like I can help you and you feel like, we're something that could be helpful for you, then we'll book you in for a much deeper dive, what I call a business assessment. And that's a 90-minute session where we go through your business in a lot more detail and your goals. And we talk about, pull back the curtains, show you the program, and what sort of investment level you're going to need to be able to participate. But if not, no harm done. I'll politely let you know and point you in the right direction and give you whatever resources I think is going to be a good help to you. So if you feel like coaching something that you want to explore, book in for that discovery call. All right. Once again, thanks for joining me for this live. I hope you found it helpful. And until next time, I hope you have a profitable day.